This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation with us here on Halftime. Hi, Alyssa. How's your week going?
Yeah, I went to see the Chicks last night at the Amp, which was pretty great. So, been the highlight of my week so far.
I saw the photos of that. Looked like a grand time. Where were your seats?
We had some lawn seats through the station, so beggars can't be choosers, right? They were free, but we do get those Land O'Lakes passes, which are pretty cool. So
awesome. Well, maybe next week you'll go to I don't know. There's a Black Keys concert at the Amp, so that's Thursday, Keys, so we can do a preview of that with you next week, right? You a Black Keys fan?
I do love my music.
Yeah. You love your sports too, so we'll get into that here. Yeah. The reports on the teleconference from Sam Pittman. KJ Jefferson has not practiced yet. There's still a chance that he will, and that you may see both. I think you will if it comes down to it. Cade Fortin and Malik Hornsby behind center for the Razorbacks. So I'm just going to step back and let you react to what you think from this.
Yeah, not necessarily surprised from what we've seen from Sam, and the media has been at practice, and we have eyes, and so not surprised. And I think it was just more about trying to just keep things and continue to keep things as close to the vest as possible, because you just don't want Mississippi State to, know everything that's going on here in Fayetteville. And so, we'll see what happens. If Cade Fortin runs out there on the first possession of the game for Arkansas, I'm not going to be surprised at all. If it's Malik Hornsby, I'm not going to be surprised either. I don't think what's going on with KJ is long-term, so I think that's the good news. I don't believe it's going to be anything that is, season-ending, or we're not going to see him for a while. I might be wrong in that, but that's just not what my gut's telling me with everything that we've heard. So now this Arkansas team has to figure out exactly how they're going to run an offense without KJ, and they've got enough to do it, I believe. But it's really just slowing down Will Rogers. I know people are focusing on KJ Jefferson, and that's a storyline in itself, but you've got to look at a Mississippi State offense right now, and Will Rogers is throwing up numbers, leading the SEC, I think leading the nation in passing. It's going to be a very tall task for this defense, more than it is for this offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you can look at I know Mississippi State might lead the nation in yards after catch, but it isn't even just, the yards after catch. It's the big, long plays right now that are hurting Arkansas. We saw that against Alabama, and it wasn't necessarily the yards after catch. It was the yards after bursting through the line of scrimmage for 70+. So, it comes in in different forms here. But, when I see that Mississippi State and this offense is built around yards after catch, but the Hogs have done well against that the last 2 years. So due to that, do you think that Barry Odom changes up the scheme a little more to what's happened the last 2 years? And maybe they don't do, cloud two or whatever it's called moving forward, but for this game against this offense, maybe it's the right defense.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you have to be able to adjust. That comes with midseason adjustments, right? Like, we always say that if you continue to do the same thing but expect it to change, that's not going to work for you. You have to kind of really be able to look at the pieces you have in place and say, okay, we've had success with this in the past. Why not try it? Because you have nothing to lose right now when you're playing Mississippi State. But you've got to do everything you can to win this ball game, because now you go from 2 losses in a row to 3 losses if they lose in Starkville, and then they're on the road at BYU, and BYU is playing very good football right now. You're on a bye, and then you're on the road again at Auburn, and Auburn is struggling this season, but you just never know what happens on the road. And so you have got to try to right this ship and get some momentum going into that BYU game and going into that bye week. So, yeah, you look at just this Mississippi State game and say, what can we do to be successful right now? Because, quite frankly, we need to be successful right now. We have got a gauntlet of an October ahead of us, and we need to get some momentum going in our direction and not in the opposite direction. And so I think it not only is significant for what happens on Saturday, but it's significant to what happens the rest of the month. So if I am Barry Odom, it's looking and saying, what is going to change some momentum? What is going to put my guys defensively where you don't know if you've got Miles Slusher and Jalen Catalon is out and you've got holes in your secondary and you're facing one of the best passing offenses in the country? How are you going to set these guys up for success? And I think Barry Odom is smart enough to know that, we can change things up and mix things up this week, and it's going to be okay. And hopefully that's what we see on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're completely right, Alyssa. I mean, this game could really determine whether you and Phil and everybody at Pig Trail Nation are packing shorts or big puffy jackets at the end of December, depending on where you go for a bowl game. I mean, this could, be about a 20-degree difference here. So a lot on the line this week. And reports.
I don't like cold weather. I don't like it.
I don't either, Alyssa. I don't either. One thing that's been interesting to read for the last day or two from practice is the Sam Mbake at defensive back. Is that something you think we'll actually see and he's going to burn the red shirt? Or, I mean, he doesn't have to burn it. I mean, still has 4 games left to play, hasn't even gotten any action. Or is this just we're going to train you there because the injury bug hasn't been very friendly to us in the secondary and we need somebody just in case?
Yeah, I think it's more of a just in case. I think it's precautionary with, hey, we're just going to get you in this room this week, get you familiar with some of the lingo and the language. But I don't see them putting Sam Mbake out there over guys who have been there all fall camp and all spring ball. Because at the end of the day, so much, I think, of where Arkansas lacks in the secondary stems from communication and being in the right place. And you can't expect Sam Mbake to be on the exact same level as the guys who've been through it on that side of the ball through the fall and the spring and through 4 games of the season, 5 games of the season now. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he might be talented enough to go over there, and just pure athleticism alone elevates him to a backup spot. You still have to learn the language and learn where to go and learn how to, read defenses. And there's so much more of study and mental and all of that other stuff that comes with playing those positions than just pure athleticism. And that'll get you far, but you still got to know where to go. And I think when we talk about tackling, when we talk about these big chunk plays, when we talk about explosive plays from the opponent, you can center a lot to just not being in the right spot. Mm. And so I think that's a really tough position to put that kid in. So I think you're putting him over there just to see what he can do, but I would be really surprised if we see him play defense on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Talk about a baptism by fire. I mean, playing defensive back, getting your first college action at a position you don't play, and it's against Mike Leach in the air raid. Good luck. So
yeah, it's a little different because people can argue, well, Alyssa, look at Rakeem Boyd, and he came in as a wide receiver, and then he just got thrown over to the running back, and he was a running back. Well, not saying that position is easier than the secondary. I'm not trying to compare because I think they're apples to oranges. But also, he's still on the offensive side of the ball. You kind of just changed it up again. And he even admitted last year as a freshman, I was just handing the ball and running. He didn't really develop that vision as a running back until later on in that freshman season and then the off season and right now. And so, yeah, you can hand a guy a ball off and tell him to go run. It's a lot easier than telling a guy exactly how to read coverages and offenses and where to be. And, it's a completely different vision of the field and the game. And so it's hard to go from one side to the other.
It really is, Alyssa. And with the wide receivers where Mbake he's been in that room for a while. Maybe I've missed it, but is there an update on Warren Thompson? Is he going to play this week?
I haven't heard. And I apologize if it has been said, and I don't know. The past 2 days have technically been my off days. I just haven't gotten around to listen to the press conferences. And I'm bummed because he was my player of the game last week, and I didn't realize he was hurt and wasn't going to play. And so was really bummed about that because I was hoping for some good things from Warren Thompson. But Ketron Jackson filled in that role seamlessly, and I think he's the future anyways with this wide receiver room. So I'm not too worried about Warren Thompson being out if he is out from what we saw with Keyshawn Jackson the last 2 weeks.
Are we at the point with Dominique Johnson and then, I mean, look, Rocket's having a great season. I think you want to get him the ball as much as you can. But, I thought Neek has looked good when he's been given the opportunity to run. He had a big game against Mississippi State last year. That's not to say that, he would do the exact same thing this year. But, I mean, you know how the coaches feel about him. He was the starter quite a few games last season and might have been coming into this year if there hadn't been the knee injury.
Yeah.
Do you think that you need – I mean, they love Dubinion, but I didn't put him out there after the fumble against Alabama. I think they like Green, and we've heard from Coach Pittman that he wants to get down to 3 running backs at some point. Do you think we see more of Dominique Johnson?
Yeah, I do. And it's because I think you game plan against this Mississippi State team where, quite frankly, the way to beat them more than anything is keeping the ball away for their offense. And that's by running the football and being successful with running the ball and taking off as much time off the clock as you can. And I think that as much as Rocket Sanders has been so good this year and has had huge plays, Dominique Johnson just runs he just is such a strong runner. He runs so angry. I think that's the best way to, and so hard. They're going to need him in some short down and distances and just to kind of grind out that run game. You're going to kind of need more of a gritty runner like Dominique Johnson is that can really barrel over people. And that's not necessarily what Rocket Sanders does. Dominique Johnson's just got a little bit more of a body type, kind of like KJ Jefferson, where he can just run people over. And I think you're going to need that against Mississippi State.
All right, over to baseball for a quick moment because your Dodgers, you're laughing. It's like you're expecting to say something funny about the question I'm about to ask you. You want Mets or Padres? What do you think?
Ooh, Padres. Dodgers can beat the Padres with their eyes closed.
Little brother syndrome stuff, right?
Yeah. They're just, it's a familiarity thing, right, Phil? Like, I mean, as much as we know baseball, you get familiar with these guys. You know exactly how these guys play and their tendencies. I feel much more comfortable playing a team that's in your own division that you've faced multiple times already than a team like the Mets, who are definitely talented, but you're just not very familiar with them. And if I believe correctly, I don't necessarily know if the Dodgers had super success against the Mets this year. I believe that series was in New York, too. So give me the Padres.
All right. Well, it's before the playoff start, but it's a new structure to the postseason. I like the idea of, if you're going to expand, and go ahead and expand, but I like the idea of the top 2 records in each league getting a bye into the next round, because I think it should mean something to win a division, but I also didn't like just one wild card game. No season should ever come down to just what you would call a one-game series.
Baseball's a game of series.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. So what do you think of the way they've structured the postseason before we've even seen it happen yet?
Oh, I like it. That wild card game is so unfair. I mean, as a fan, the amount of stress it puts on you when you're riding on one game, and everybody knows that sometimes with baseball, you just don't have it that day, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, the ball's not there. And so that is a heavy, heavy load to bear when your postseason success and postseason run is dependent on just one baseball game. So I like it. I think it's just going to make it a little bit more fair, I suppose. And you know me, I just love baseball. More baseball.
Right.
Yeah. More the better.
The more the better. I would just really like it to end in October, just because, October. But then again, if college basketball has the championship and the Final Four in April, and we talk March Madness and still calling it March Madness in April, I guess it's okay to have the baseball the World Series decided in November.
I'm used to watching some World Series games around Halloween. I'm cool with that if it's backed up just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Maybe
that.
Maybe it's not such a stressful Halloween. I can enjoy taking my kids trick-or-treating.
It sounds like a lot of fun to be right after the Auburn game. Hopefully by then we got a couple of wins to talk about. Alyssa, thank you. Have a great week, and we'll do it again Wednesday next week. Always appreciate your time.
You too, guys. Take it easy.
Appreciate it, Alyssa.
Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation. Always good to give us time on Wednesdays. I want to let you know about something big going on Friday. It's the 2022 Miracles and Magic Radiothon for Arkansas Children's Hospital. It's from 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. this Friday. All you got to do to give to Arkansas Children's Northwest is text ACNW to 51555. Again, the number you text is 51555 and text ACNW. Or you can just call 479-455-KIDS. Between 6 and 8 p.m. this Friday, the Razorback men's basketball team and coaches are taking your calls for donations. That's 479-455-KIDS to give to the 2022 Miracles and Magic Radiothon for Arkansas Children's Northwest.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You'll find the latest odds, matchup info, player news, and game trends. And as your continued source for all sports wagering info, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, live scores, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events like MLB, MMA, tennis, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.